was one of our biggest issues of the USTA being more inclusive. That was how we started this conversation. I think it was after a lot of meetings that we had, is how do you open your doors? Inclusive in your workforce, inclusive in your programming, inclusive in your, when the stadium isn't being used. I remember taking some seniors to the USTA 2 years ago that had lived in our community for 40 years and had never stepped foot in this community. Hace 2 años yo llevé un grupo de nuestros seniors de por aquí mismo, de este vecindario, de los 5 senior centers de por aquí mismo, a ver los que ellos llaman los preliminares. Y habían personas que han vivido en Corona por más de 40 años que nunca habían pisado pie dentro del estadio. Y eso es un problema. La realidad es que este estadio genera casi 500 millones de dólares anuales. The reality is that, yes, the USTA is a revenue generator for our city. It is an organization that, I think the studies say that they make more money in 2005, which is I believe the year that the Yankees and the Mets played together in the World Series. They made more money in 2 weeks than the entire season of both the Yankees and the Mets. So, it's a revenue generator. I'm sure there are other communities that would love to have them in their community, but we also have to make them responsible and responsive to our community. Ellos generan más dinero en una temporada de 3 semanas que el tiempo completo de los Mets y los Yankees en que hacen en un año. Y ellos tienen 80 y pico de juegos. So, la realidad es que lo tenían que hacer, que eran responsables, pero más que respondieran a nuestra comunidad. So, I know a lot of you probably heard about the details of the money, right? But we're not going to brush over that because that's a very big and important issue. The USTA started very low. I started very high, and we met in the middle. And that's what negotiations are about. But our middle was more than we have been getting from the USTA in a long time. So, ellos empezaron bien, con un número bien bajito, sumamente bajito, casi ofensivo. Yo estaba en los millones y millones y nos encontramos en el medio. Pero la realidad es que el medio de nosotros es más que lo que yo han dado en 20 años. So, 1993 was 20 years ago. And the reality is that why I love that we're meeting here tonight is that we also, as community members, have to engage in this process so that 20 years from now, we're not here again. So that 20 years from now, all these promises that we have, so, I'm having a baby boy, hopefully not tonight. I'm having a baby boy. Julian will have a copy of this deal in his notebook, right? He's going to carry this deal with him to college 20 years from now. Hopefully, he better go to college. Yo quiero que sus hijos entiendan. So we as a community, all of us are stakeholders in ensuring that every word in this agreement is upheld. Because, to be very honest with you, it was incredibly challenging for me to find the 1993 agreement. And it's because our community also needs to take some responsibility. We should have this in every church. We should have this agreement in every community-based organization. We should have this community agreement amongst all of us. So let's talk about it. We have the improvement and payment, which is the $5 million. So el primer pago es los $5 millones. So $5 millones va a ir directamente a mejorar el parque. And so that we understand, I never wanted to talk about this like pie in the sky and just putting a number out of nowhere out of thin air. This number came directly from the master plan that was developed for the park and working with Parks Department. Estos $5 millones van directamente a los proyectos que están identificados por el Departamento de Parque y su plan master, que le dicen master. So those improvements are improving the walk areas around the lake, certain, um, the, the, um, the rest area by the soccer fields, where's, by the soccer fields.
Yeah.
Esto incluye un ejemplo, la mejoría porque si nosotros queremos caminar la vuelta al lago ahora mismo, eso es un desastre, no se puede caminar, no se puede dar la vuelta al lago. Pues es mejorar toda esa vuelta al lago, mejorar las luces en el parque, arreglar el baño que queda por los fields de soccer que están destrozados, eh, mejorar la entrada. One of the entrances that was very important to me that I really wanted to focus on is, although we traditionally walk into Flushing Meadows Park from 111th Street, there is an entrance on Roosevelt Avenue. But that's a makeshift entrance. And it's the entrance that the Parks Department employees use every day. But it's not really an entrance. So we have to make that an appropriate entrance because you shouldn't have to walk a mile to get into the park when you live on the north side of Roosevelt Avenue. So if you're coming in kind of by the City Field side, we're going to make that a more appropriate entrance with the right lighting, the right pavement, and what it is, because it's been made there. And if they put a fence up, they're just going to tear it right down. So those are kind of an example of the improvements in the park, and that is the capital investment of the $5 million. Then we talk about the maintenance, and that's when we talk about our alliance. Um, Parks of this size, and I know that a lot of people have concerns and people have expressed concerns with conservancies or not conservancies and alliances, and what does that mean, and are we going to lose all control of our parks? And that's why I was very specific in not calling this a conservancy. I believe that a proper example of this would be the Prospect Park Alliance. It is an example that I use. I work very, very closely with New Yorkers for Parks and with Tucker Thomas, who has been in parks and has tried to figure this out for years. So if you go to Prospect Park, it's an example of what exists there, and it's a public-private partnership